Fellas, this is something that all of us have been kind of talking about. I know as we like play ball, as we lift weights and stuff like that. And this is a kind of conversation that I think wanted to be had. And I guess first thing, let's all introduce ourselves. I know all you fellas very well, but I want you guys to introduce yourself to a lot of my people that are going to be listening online. So first, Brandon, let's start with you. Leo, turn your camera on, bro. Turn your camera on.
Yeah, so sorry about that. So I'm Brandon Anderson. I live and reside currently in Charlotte, North Carolina. I am it's funny, last time I spoke with these gentlemen, I had a different job, but now I just accepted a new role. So I'm going to be a user education and knowledge director for BlackRock, which is an asset management company up out of New York. I'll be working remote, which is great. I'm from North Carolina, but I travel a lot. So I like to get around and all those good kind of things. And enjoy life. I'm an Aggie as well. That's where I met Chris Phelps. What else you need me to tell?
All right, just that's pretty much it. You can say you can say relationship status, stuff like that if you would like. If not, I'll move on to DJ.
Okay, got you. Currently single. That's my current status.
All right, what's up? All right, DJ, you're next. Tell everybody.
All right. So my name is Janal Richard, but everybody calls me DJ for short. Makes it easy for everybody. I'm a business owner. I would like to think of myself as a serial entrepreneur. I filed my taxes single, so I would say that I'm single. What else is there? I do like to travel myself too, Brandon. I think I was, well, you know what? I don't want to get too deep too early. But yeah, we'll keep it at that.
Cool. Let's keep it moving. All right, so what's up? All right, Leo, let's move on to you, bro.
Yes, my name is Leo Smart. I'm an educator here in sunny South Florida. Yes, I am also single. No chick, no child. Single as a dollar, but not loose as change, you know. And yes, keeping it, a buck. And I'm looking forward to this presentation.
Definitely. And lastly, as a host of Financipation, on this particular podcast, I typically talk about like financial independence and things like that. But I wanted to kind of change it up a little bit and talk about something different. But just to introduce myself, my name is Christopher Phelps. I'm a mechanical engineer. I design billion-dollar industries and billion-dollar buildings for Microsoft, Google, Pandora, TikTok, the federal government, a couple of the clients that I can't tell you about. And additionally, on top of that, I am married. I got my first baby on the way. My wife is 7.5 months pregnant. And we basically are personal trainers on the side and have a couple of businesses. So that's kind of it in a nutshell for myself. And the reason why I wanted to have this discussion is because a couple of years ago, I was on a dating panel. About 7 or 8 years ago, I was on a dating panel with a couple of self-proclaimed strong, independent Black women. And they kept basically trying to give us a lot of advice about how to get to get a girl. And they were trying to basically explain to us how we should get women. And it was ridiculous to me because none of these women were strong, independent, or basically desirable. None of them had ever been married. None of them were feminine. None of them were supportive. None of them were cooperative. A few of them admitted they didn't like to cook or clean. One of them was over 250 pounds. I myself am 6'2", 210 pounds. I was one of the lightest people on the stage, to kind of give you an idea about the health of these type of women. And I honestly could not understand why women that basically weren't fit, feminine, sociable, agreeable, or supportive were trying to tell us how to get women. Basically trying to tell us essentially what they wanted when none of them had a man and none of them basically, unfortunately, could get one. And what was even sadder was a couple of years later, about 7 or 8 years later, I ended up running across a couple of these women. And still to this day, none of them have a man. A few of them are baby mamas now. They're approaching their late 40s, early 50s. And because I talk finance with a lot of these women, I know that they're seriously terrified about retirement because they don't have the money to retire. And they spent their entire lives basically somewhat being rebels. And as a result, now they're kind of seriously struggling and they're worried. So I wanted to have this conversation because these are the kind of women, unfortunately, that are giving our daughters and our sons advice about how to get a man and how to get a woman. And it makes no sense because they don't have a man and they also are not the kind of women that their sons will want to marry. And I would say in closing with that, the most damning thing of all was I asked a lot of these women, if you had a son, would you want him to date you? because you said you can't cook, you said you don't like to clean, you said unfortunately you're overweight, a few of you are obese, a few of you are baby mamas, and you're not feminine. So if you had a son, would you want your son to date a woman like that? And the most damning thing of all was these women said, actually, we probably would not want our sons to date us. So I found that to be pretty sad. So with that, let's get started, my dudes. Let's get started. So first question, I'm gonna let DJ go for this one because you're the fitness guru out of all of us, Mr. Former NFL. So DJ, I want you to be honest with this one, bro. Does a woman's weight matter? If you're thinking about approaching, dating, or marrying a woman, would you leave or never date her because she was too obese? I'll say it the nice way.
You know what? She could be too skinny too. She could be too skinny. She could be too big. So for me, it does matter. It matters because I care about my health, and I want somebody else who also cares about their health. I don't want to be active in the gym, working out, like being active and you at the house just chilling, doing nothing, or just letting yourself get away. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it's important that you care about not just how you look, but your health as well.
Got you. All right, Leo, how about yourself? Does a woman's weight matter?
Yes, it does. And as DJ pointed out in the beginning, extremes are not good. So yes, too big and too skinny, yes, that's a problem. But I will say for me, it's more the shape than the actual measurements on the scale, but there still need to be a level of not only health, but fitness.
Right.
Because I want to be proud when I have my woman on my arm, as I want me personally, her to be proud of me. So that's why I'm at the gym. That's why I work out. That's why I do what I do, because it's not only a personal pride for me, but also it would be also a blessing for her. You know what I mean?
All right, got you. So for both of the two guys so far, Brandon and Leo, I'm sorry, Leo and DJ, you both said her weight does matter to you, if I'm hearing that correctly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Got you.
Yes.
All right, got you. Brandon, how about yourself? Once again, same question. Does a woman's weight matter? If you're thinking about seriously approaching a woman, seriously dating her, and yes, marrying her, which is what I think ultimately you should be doing if you're trying to approach a woman, would you does her weight matter basically?
Yeah, absolutely. I hate to, I like the debate and all that good stuff, but I can't go against anything the other gentlemen have said. For myself, I would not approach someone who I felt was large. I wouldn't approach some of what DJ mentioned. I wouldn't approach somebody who I felt was maybe too skinny. And it's not like I've kind of said before, when I've had conversations like this, it's not to be judgmental. It's just what's attractive to me. And that's what's most important as well, is that what's most attractive to me. And I can't, if I'm working out and doing these kind of things, I want my woman to have those same values. And again, it goes past just the attraction. It's also the health thing. I want you to be around. We have kids. I don't want to be a single dad. So it goes kind of further and a little bit deeper. But yeah, I definitely think it matters for sure. And the same for me. I know the women think the same. So yeah.
Got you. So just in closing, all four of us, and myself included, all of us believe that basically a woman's weight matters. All of us are under the impression that basically you can be cute, but if you don't take care of your body, it's not a serious relationship that we're going to pursue. That's kind of what all four of us are saying. So once again, I am a mechanical engineer. I come from an analytical background. I also have an MBA in finance. So I don't really talk in opinions. I talk in facts and things that you can kind of actualize and you can basically put in quantify. So 80%, unfortunately, of our Black women today are overweight. 64% of our Black women today are obese. So 80% of the 80% are obese. The average Black woman today is 5'4", 190 pounds. And once again, I'm gonna post all these statistics and everything. And the average Black woman today has a BMI of 33. So just so you know, a healthy BMI is being overweight for your BMI is about 25 to 29. The typical Black woman has a BMI of 33. Our women are too big. but it's not just the ladies either. Just in general, the United States military says that literally between the ages of 18 to 22, basically the high school, between the a kid graduating from high school or whatever, the typical person who graduates from high school is too fat to be of use to the military, and 75% of our high school graduates that are men basically could not pass basic training. So it's not just our ladies that are overweight, the dudes are overweight. And just because like I said, I like numbers and I like science, health issues pretty much of being overweight include obesity, diabetes, erectile dysfunction. So for all the guys out there, yes, you build testosterone by working out. These are some of the issues pretty much that are associated with basically not taking care of your body. And let's also be honest, fellas, if you were basically with your wife in the shower and she's behind you and you see nothing but rolls, that's not really gonna get your blood moving. Exactly. And conversely, fellas, to all the dudes listening, if you come out the shower and you're not wearing no clothes and your stomach is hanging below your Johnson, that's probably not gonna turn the ladies on. So people get in shape, basically. You can't necessarily change how big your butt is. You can't necessarily change how big your boobs are. You can't necessarily change how tall you are, how skinny you are. I'm sorry, how tall you are. But everybody can basically take care of their everybody can basically take care of their weight. So to me, staying in shape is one of the easiest things. And by the way, if you are looking for trainers, I'm gonna post some links or whatever to 2 very good trainers that I know of. Basically, they deal primarily with they deal a lot with different trainers from different people from different walks of life. They can help you with that. But the last thing I'll say about the whole weight thing is this. Imagine if God blesses you and basically you make $100,000 a year. Now, let's say you die of a heart attack at 45. The average retirement age, let's say, is 70. You just cost your family $2.5 million because you died 25 years prematurely because you did not take care of your body. So that's kind of the way I always look at weight. It's a serious issue that's affecting our community. 5'4", 190 pounds, and the average Black woman has a BMI of 33. That is a recipe for generational disaster, period. We're too big.
But I want to say something, but I think DJ has his hand up first.
All right.
Yeah, I want to say, what do we say to those people that say that they are, it's their genetics, they can't lose weight, or this is just how
your audio is going in and out a little bit. But what I'll say to that is this. First and foremost, there is no such thing as a quote unquote healthy body. What I mean by that is you'll take a look at some women such as like a Serena Williams, who's very thick, but she's in very good shape, extremely good shape. Or you take a look at like NFL offensive linemen or whatever, who look like they're big guys, but if you ever actually lift weights to these dudes and actually run with them, they're actually in very good shape. They just look quote unquote big. And then you see some people who look very healthy, but they're really skinny. So whatever your healthy body is your healthy body. My advice to everyone is basically try to work out 2 to 3 days a week. Try to basically drink about 50% of your body weight in ounces in water, and then basically try to get some combination of calisthenics and strength and conditioning in. So that's my that's what I would say for the general population. And in regards to another thing, when I'm talking about weight, I'm not talking about people, by the way, I meant to say this earlier, I'm not talking about people, by the way, who let's say have health issues or who have thyroid issues or whatever. I'm not talking about people, those aren't the quote unquote obese people I'm talking about. I'm talking about the able-bodied individuals who can work out, but just choose not to because they're too busy, or they can't work out because their career comes first, or they don't want to work out because our men like us big. It's nonsense. And from the 4 brothers on this channel, we basically are telling pretty much anybody that we're going to seriously approach that, yes, we would prefer our women to be in shape, not skinny, but in shape. Does that answer your question, DJ?
Very much so.
Yeah, perfect. I just want to add, it's okay for us men to have preferences.
Absolutely.
And but it seems as though we are often basically silenced when we say, hey, this is what we're looking for.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
Well, I mean, generally speaking. So women can basically say, hey, I want a man this tall, but men basically, is a lot of men basically get pushback when they said, well, I want a woman no bigger than this, right?
This is the way, Lee, I've always looked at that concept. At the end of the day, when you factor, and I'm gonna go into this more numbers about this, when you factor in guys that are gay, when you factor in guys that are in prison, you factor in dudes that are locked up, you factor in guys that are basically guys that are celibate, you factor in guys that are weirdos, dudes that are broke, and men that are basically mentally crazy and retarded. At the end of the day, there's like 10 heterosexual women for every heterosexual man. So if a woman is trying to tell you what you should like, basically get rid of her and basically just find someone else. That's kind of how I look at it. I mean, at the end of the day, it may sound a little cruel, but don't have a scarcity mindset, have an abundance mindset. If people are trying to tell you, if you tell somebody I like apple pie, and they're trying to tell you no, you need to like lemon meringue pie, they'll be like, no, I like apple pie. I'm gonna basically go after what I want. And what people are trying to tell you what you should and you should not like, that's ridiculous. Women can have standards. Well, guess what? So can we as men. And because biologically, we basically can get a woman pregnant at 90. And unfortunately, women tell God upstairs, it's his issue, not us. Basically, for the most part, can't have kids after 45. The dating game is basically rigged in our favors. And biologically, it's a lot easier for a 50-year-old guy to pull a 20-year-old woman than for a 40-year-old woman to pull a 20-year-old man. So whenever people try to give me that whole, well, this is what you say you like, but you need to like something else, we're like, no, that's craziness. I mean, I'm a happily married man now, but trust and believe, when I was single and women were trying to do that kind of nonsense with me, I had no issue saying, okay, goodbye, I'm gonna find somebody else. And I say that scarcity mindset is something as men we need to basically get out of, because at the end of the day, you can thank God for it, whatever. The game is rigged in our favor. It's not basically in women's favor, just from a number standpoint. So, yep. All right, next question. I'm gonna let my boy Brandon go first. Red pill versus blue pill, option 1 versus option 2. So Brandon, let's say you take the red pill, you can make $300,000 a year. Your kids can basically go to the nicest public schools. Your wife can drive a new Maserati, new Benz, new Tesla every year. She has the nicest designer heels, the red bottom. She's got the nicest purses. She's got the $50,000 Birkin bags, all that stuff. So you're basically making serious paper, $300K a year. Only issue is this: you hate your job. You work 80 hours a week. You hate every second that you go to this place. It's insanely stressful. You never have sex with your wife because you basically are traveling 4 or 5 days a week. Your kids are really spoiled little brats. And on top of that, you know for a fact that your wife is probably giving it to another dude. That's option 1. Option 2, blue pill. You love your job. Every morning you wake up saying, good, I'm basically making a serious difference in my community. I love working with, I love what I do. I love where I go. I love everything about it. On top of, the only problem is this though, you only make $42,000 a year. You live in the hood. Every night you hear gunshots. Your kids basically are getting beat up and basically getting recruited to join gangs. And on top of that, you don't really catch it yet from your wife, but you can kind of sense that her friends have no respect for you because she makes $10,000 more than you. And on top of that, her parents don't respect you either. So which option would you want? The job that you love, which is option number 2 in the blue pill, or the job that you hate, but you make $300K a year? Brandon, you up first, go.
That's a tough question.
This is what I call the guy catch 22, because we get these kind of, I've gotten these type of job offers before, and this is the guy catch 22, because you can make serious cake and never see your family, or you can make middle of America cake and get no respect from possibly from your girl, and definitely from her family or her friends.
I feel like taking the blue pill will be in my favor because I can sell my life story to BET at some point in time. That sounds just like one of the movies. But no, in all honesty, it's a good complex that you're presenting, because I feel like I would try to go with the blue one and then say maybe I can earn some respect.
And by the blue pill, which option is that?
That blue option is the you said $42,000 a year. I love my job because I'm about family and stuff. But so the first option is great because I can provide for my family, but I never see them. I never see my wife and me. I know this is a pre-conversation stuff. I like sex and stuff, so like not getting that would be a problem for me. And then not seeing my kids. I didn't go into it in the intro, but I have a daughter. I can't imagine not spending time with her. So for that aspect alone, like, I would try my best to keep her out of gangs, but at least I get to see her. And, but the disrespect part is big too, because you said my wife doesn't respect me, or friends or family doesn't like me. That's big for me too. I'm really big on respect. I'm really big on that. So
which option,
I would have to take that pill.
All right.
Blue.
You would take the blue option, $42K a year.
Yeah.
All right. DJ, you up next. Yeah. Which one? My entrepreneur.
Oh. Trying to move out the hood, bro. You trying to bring me back? You trying to put me back? You hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you a little better now. Yeah.
So I'm trying to move out the hood, and you out here trying to bring me back to that $42,000.
DJ, your audio is going in and out again. Hey, do me a favor, Leo. You go next, okay? And then DJ, Leo, you go next, okay?
You want me to go right now?
Yeah, go right now. Yeah.
Okay. So, the blue pill, if we can tweak it where my wife respect me, I don't care if our friends don't respect me or like me, or our parents don't you know, just as long as she loves me and respect me, that's all that matter. You know what I mean?
The respect it's there, but it's like kind of forced basically. She does not respect you as much as she respects the lawyer down the hall, who down that she works with, who hollers at her every day, who makes twice what you make, 85 a year.
That's tough, huh? But the I'll still choose the blue pill for the mere fact that I am spending time with my children. It's all about the kids. So, and it depends on also, I'm not trying to make it more complicated than it already is, because it's a very challenging scenario we have to choose from, but also the stage of life I'm in. I mean, if I'm like 60, you know, I'm like, you know, I'll choose blue. You know what I mean?
All right, so blue pill.
If I'm much younger, then I'll probably go with red.
Why is that? Why does your age have to deal with it?
Because I mean, the older we get, so if I'm 60 making 40,000, there's a lower chance of me making exponentially more. If I'm 20 something making 300,000, that's more money. I could switch out my wife later on down the years as the years go on. All right.
Got you. A lot of men make that decision too. All right, DJ, how's your audio?
Can you hear me yet?
I can hear you a little bit, yeah. So red pill or blue pill, which one?
Well, I'm just gonna make it quick, and I'll go blue pill. I've been trying to move out the hood for a while, but you want to keep me back in there. I just can't not spend time with my family. I can't. You still hear me, right?
A little bit. You're kind of going in and out. Just go ahead and
I'm calling from that.
That's cool. All right, let's do this. Next question. My boy Leo, you up next. Are you intimidated to date a strong Black woman, a strong independent woman? Are you intimidated to date her?
No.
Are you intimidated to date a woman that makes more money than you?
No.
All right, explain it. Why? Why is that? Because that's what we always hear. We won't date them because that's what I heard on that stage. Y'all scared to date me because I have dated women. I'm a strong, independent Black woman.
I have dated women that made 3 times what I make, right? And it was great. It's just a matter of how she treats you. Unfortunately, a lot of women today, and it's growing, where they believe that because they basically make more than you, that gives them the right to be rude and disrespectful. So that kind of segues into, I'm a strong whatever, you know what I mean? Being strong doesn't mean you have to be rude. Being strong doesn't mean you have to be disrespectful. It seems as though as income increases, so does misandry. And misandry is the hatred of men, right? So, you know, you're unfortunately, a lot of us men are valued by how much we make. If he makes under 100,000, he's not a high value man, so he deserves little respect. If he makes over 100,000, he's a high value man, and he's supposed to be treated with respect.
Got you. So you're not intimidated at all then to date a woman who makes more money than you. It's not an issue at all.
Not at all.
Got you. Brandon, how about you, man? Are you intimidated to date a woman who makes more money than you?
No, I'm not. I've been in that situation a couple times, especially, you know, a few years back before I started making decent money. And it didn't bother me. Now, of course, it can get to you if that person is constantly trying to throw that in your face, but it goes back to what Leo was saying about, you know, how they are treating you. So as long as I'm being treated as a man, and as long as I am being respected, like I talked about before, that doesn't matter to me. Like, you know, as long as I still can take the reins, you still can go into a thought process of being a submissive woman and things of that nature, then no, I don't feel like it's a problem at all.
Got you. So it's all about respect, and it has nothing to do with how much money the woman makes. Basically, it's nothing to do. Basically, it's whether or not she's still willing to cook you dinner, still willing to rub your feet, still willing to run your bath water, still basically willing to do the feminine things that we as men love. It has nothing to do with how much money she makes, or whether or not she respects you. That's what you and Leo are saying. Got you. All right, DJ, how about yourself, bro? Are you intimidated to date a strong, independent woman? It makes more money than you.
Can you hear me all right, first off?
I can hear you a little bit. Yeah. I can hear you good enough, yeah.
The sound quality on my bad is I'm getting feedback. It's really bad.
All right, let's do this. Let me mute you real quick. All right.
How about now?
Try now.
You hear me all right?
All right, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, DJ. Don't worry about it.
Well, let me also say, you know, try to speak for DJ, my brother. Let me try to, you know, as men, if a woman makes more than us, there's supposed to be something in us to kind of want to push to do better, but not in a competitive manner. You know what I mean? But unfortunately, sometimes it's a competition between men and women. As you know, if men typically, traditionally rather, makes more money than women, but to us it's not a competition. It's like, hey, I'm going to take care of you, I'm going to provide for you, I'm going to look after you. But typically, especially when women are in their prime, when they make more or when they make a certain amount, they don't date down, they date up. So you have to earn as much as they earn or more. Men,
about that though, Leo, I don't know if I agree with that. Like I mean, lawyers and doctors and whatever, women that make six figures. And by the way, less than 6% of our women actually make over $100,000. So let's just get that out of the way. That's there's a misnomer. I think sometimes basically people cap. They basically try to make it sound like they make a lot more money than they actually do. Statistically speaking, the average Black woman in America makes $28,000. Statistically speaking, 75% of our women make less than $50,000, and statistically speaking, 60% of Black men make over $50,000. So let's just get this out of the way right now as far as how much money. Sometimes people tell me how much money they make. It's all cap. It's BS. There's that. A lot of times people are fronting. But in regards to that, women that make $100,000 only dating men that make $100,000+. Let's be honest. Most women that make $100K, I hate to say this, but if a girl makes $25,000 and she's drop dead gorgeous, and a woman makes $100,000 and she's let's say very obese and not attractive at all, most of the guys on this panel, we're gonna go after the girl that makes $25,000 who's attractive. Let's just be honest. Money does not do it for us. Neither do college degrees. So what I'm saying is this: the chicks that say I want to date a man that makes 125, but she's not attractive, she's not pretty. Men that make 125 probably ain't going for her. I know I didn't. So that's what I'm saying. It's one of those kind of things where there's a certain woman who say I only want to date these type of guys, but they're basically limiting themselves because less than 10% of men make that kind of money. And the ones of them who do, we're not attracted to how much money you make or how kind of degrees. We basically are attracted to who you are. Are you pretty? Do you blow our socks off? Do you run our bath water? Do you willing to cook and clean for us? So that's kind of how what I'll say to that.
Well, essentially what I'm talking about is hypergamy. Hypergamy. Right. That's essentially, so you're saying it doesn't exist. Hypergamy doesn't exist.
I'm not saying it doesn't exist. I'm just saying a woman's market value is not determined by how much money she makes. It's also not determined how many cars she drives or whatever. We determine how much we want to have sex with a girl.
To men.
Yes.
To men.
Right.
But women.
But to women, if you are bad, it doesn't matter how broke you are. Guys, we're going to holler. Period. We'll fly a girl up from another country. If you're not attractive and you make a lot of money, that doesn't turn us on as men. Men ain't, I mean, a lot of dudes ain't really trying to bust down. I hate to say this, shout out to Oprah Winfrey, but a lot of men ain't really trying to bust down her door. A lot of men ain't trying to bust down Lizzo's door. But flip the script, a whole bunch of chicks are trying to get a Steph Curry. So money, for me, that's what I'm saying. It's like to us, it's not necessarily about how much money a woman makes. That means nothing to us.
Right. We don't care.
How pretty or what the attraction is. That's what I mean. So, all right, next question. I'm gonna let Brandon start with this one. Brandon, what mental qualities in a woman do you find extremely sexy? And once again, this has nothing to do with money. So I'm not talking about how many. Actually, do you find if a woman has a college degree, do you find that sexy? If she got a master's degree, is that sexy to you?
No.
All right, Leo, if a woman has a master's degree, is that sexy to you? Does that make a girl who's a 4 have a master's degree? Does she go from a 4 to a 6?
No.
All right, got you. So DJ, I'm sorry, Brandon, what mental qualities in women do you find extremely sexy? Because obviously a woman's college degrees don't turn us on, and the amount of money she makes doesn't get our blood moving either. So
Yeah.
what mental qualities?
But I must say intellect is, I find intellect.
No. I didn't say intellect. I was saying what mental qualities do you find extremely sexy in a woman? Now, if intellect is one of them, do it. But what mental qualities do you find sexy in a woman? Brandon, you're up first. Go.
Yeah, so that is one that I got to put pretty high, that Leo just spoke on, is intellect. Like, you have to be smart. I don't care if you ever went to school, whatever. Shoot, if you work it, I probably wouldn't talk this. Well, I would. Let me not say that. I don't want to discourage anybody that works at Walmart. But but intellect is very important to me. Another big thing is somebody who is very supportive and in tune with their emotions, who can converse, has a good conversation with me. I'm big on that because that's kind of the household I grew up in, where we express things by talking. So if you can't have a conversation with me, hold a conversation, an intellectual conversation, that's a huge turnoff for me. So that's something I found really, really, really attractive. And it's somebody who's really good at affirming that I am important to them. Somebody who can feed off into me. Words of affirmation used to be my love language. It switched to physical touch over the years, but that still will speak to me. If somebody says, hey, Brandon, I appreciate that you did this, or that you always take care of this. Somebody who can do those type of things, that is super duper sexy to me. Like, that's literally like, whatever you want, I'm gonna give it to you, baby.
Got you. Cool. I like that. DJ, you're up next, bro. What mental
Can you hear? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Clearly.
I can hear you clearly, yes.
Right,
what mental qualities do you find extremely sexy in a woman?
We're on the ball. I actually wanted to chime in real quick on that last question. So I did date somebody who made a whole lot more money than me at the time. And it did not bother me at all. One thing too, I had to remember, or I've always remembered, is that it doesn't matter how much money she makes, because her money is not my money. Her money is her money.
Exactly.
My money is my money. Exactly. My money is money. Put it that way. Is the house's money, but her money is her money. What was the second question?
So what mental qualities in a woman do you find extremely sexy?
Mental qualities. Piggybacking
a little bit. To be supportive? Do you like them to be combative? Yeah. Do you like them to be angry? Do you like them to be gentle?
Can't be combative at all. Like, I had this one chick who, listen, every time we had a conversation,
it was a fight.
It's almost like she was defending herself or something. I'm like, we can't even have you can't have a regular conversation.
So definitely you're not feeling the combative, the aggressive, angry women.
I do not want anybody combative. I want a stress-free life. And if you're not helping me live a stress-free life, then it's just not going to work.
Got you.
I would definitely, who, like Brandon said, is supportive and has me in mind all of the time. Like, that is a quality I think that I couldn't go without.
Got you. All right. I like that. So supportive and not combative, just like Brandon. Leo, how about yourself? What mental qualities in a woman? Nothing physical. I don't want to care about her butt and her breast, none of that. What mental qualities, purely upstairs, what mental qualities in a woman do you find to be extremely sexy?
Someone that has peace of mind. Someone that is comfortable in their skin, who they know themselves, and basically is a whole, someone that's whole. You know what I mean? Because then if they're whole, you know what I mean, it complements me, who if working on being whole or being whole, gotcha, will complement each other. It's less work, it's less stress.
So that contentment, that peace.
Yes.
Gotcha. Peace. So it's interesting because all of you men said you want a woman who's peaceful, you don't want a woman who's combative. All of you basically said you want somebody that completes you, and you want somebody who's supportive. So I find that kind of interesting because men, we basically have been saying that for thousands of years. I mean, seriously, like David, when in the Bible, he didn't want to come home basically with basically women throwing pots and pans at him or whatever. And it's interesting because if you read the Bible or whatever, Solomon actually said in Proverbs 25, it's better to be a homeless dude living in the desert with no water, basically it burning up, than to be living in a mansion with a brawling, fighting woman. So it's pretty interesting that all four of us, because myself, I'm not tolerating being around a woman that's just ignorant and throwing stuff at and cussing me out.
So no bad bitches, no bad bitches.
No, none of that. Well, if she's attractive and yeah, whatever. But like what I mean by that though is that you want a girl who basically is supportive, fit, and fit. You want basically want a woman who's supportive, who's cooperative, who basically has your back. And we've also said we want a woman to be in shape. So I say that because a lot of times, unfortunately, there's this concept of whatever, of people just belittling the men, basically yelling and screaming and being aggressive, and that ish is not sexy. To be honest with you, if we're men, if we're playing ball or we're in the street or whatever, and a dude is walking up to us, cussing us out, pushing us, we're gonna swing on the dude. Let's be honest. So when a woman is coming at you in the same way, as a man, you're not gonna put your hands on her, but that energy that you feel toward wanting to do that energy that you feel toward, okay, I'm gonna defend myself, it works the same way. But as guys, we're good men, we're not gonna put our hands on her, but that's the same way we feel when a chick is all in our face, yelling at us and screaming. So to my ladies out there, listen to what these men are saying. We want our women to be feminine. We want them to basically to be complimentary. We want them to be supportive. We don't want them to be angry and be yelling at us. And I find that to be something that a lot of our sisters need to hear today. A lot of women.
If I could add to that, and not even say that she is disrespecting us, but if she has a mindset where she's pre-angry, you know, the knock if you buck type women, you know what I mean? So like, yeah, like, so she will get you killed because she's picking arguments and fights with other people. You know what I'm saying? And so you're like, man, there's a whole bunch of them, you know what I'm saying? And she's like, because they're not gonna fight her. And I've seen this before. I've seen where girl pick up an argument with this dude, and the dude step right by her and knock out her boyfriend. Gotcha. So we gotta, yeah.
Yep. That's it's an interesting concept with that, Leo. And yeah, it's crazy. Next question. Let's keep it moving. Describe toxic masculinity and what does it mean to you? Leo, you're up first.
Toxic masculinity. Well, I'm community minded. And so basically toxic masculinity is not only destructive to women, but also destructive to men. So it's destructive to—
What is it?
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's where it's unhealthy masculinity. It's essentially selfishness. It's essentially being abusive. It's not providing, it's not protecting. It's basically on a path of just not only destruction but dysfunction.
Got you. All right, Brandon, you're up next. Toxic masculinity, what does it mean to you?
I would say that toxic masculinity to me is something I think we deal with a lot, even in the workplace, especially within corporate, where, you know, everybody kind of has this egotistical thing, like I'm the top of the board, listen to what I say, you know, and what Leo kind of piggyback off what Leo said, is not just destructive to women. I mean, I've seen it be destructive to women many occasions, but it's even destructive within the community of men, especially Black men, because it's always this competitive attitude. Instead of trying to help each other, we're pulling each other down because it's like, oh, well, I got more than this brother over here, so F that. Like, that's what it is. And then I think the other side of it, again, is kind of the unhealthy piece of it, is just the factor that you're taking on like the gender role of a man, but you're taking it to the next level of, to be a man, I have to do this. I have to be emotionless. Right. I have to not, you know, talk to people a certain kind of way. I have to be a dick. Like, I feel like that's the biggest thing with toxic masculinity that just makes it so bad.
Got you. And DJ, describe toxic masculinity to you. Well, what does it mean to you?
Piggybacking off of both of what both of them said, it's anything that's not building up our community, anything that's not building up what a man should be, I believe is toxic. When men are talking down to women or not showing what a man should be, a provider, a supporter, anything that's not that, I believe is toxic.
Got you. Yeah, I agree with that. If someone were to ask me this question, I would describe toxic masculinity as this. We're put on this planet as men. We really only kind of have basically two basic functions: to protect and to provide. I mean, there's other factors with it as well. But for the most part, we were put on this planet to protect the women and protect the communities and protect the areas around us and to provide. I mean, if you want to take it to the Bible, basically sweat of your brow, you're supposed to basically work. The ground is cursed. So God wants us getting up at 5 a.m., 3 a.m., put food on the table and to work. Basically, that's why we're here, and we're supposed to protect our family. If you're laying in bed with your girl, if you're laying in bed with your wife at night, with the girl at night, and you hear a knock on the front door or something loud in the back, your girlfriend or your wife is not getting up to go check what the sound is. You're supposed to do it. So we're supposed to protect our community. People that, in my opinion, who sell poison, who sell drugs, who basically, like Brandon said, basically have this kind of toxic idea that, okay, this guy's got a car, I'm gonna talk crap about him and do what I need to do so I can drive a nicer car. Or Leo basically is working his job, he's got a good job, but I'm gonna talk bad about him so I can make more money and basically try to supplant him. That to me is toxic because you're basically tearing down your community. And on top of that, other communities typically don't really do that. You don't see a bunch of Asian dudes running around beefing with each other pretty much, talking about, I got a nicer car than you or whatever. They don't really roll that way. They try to build themselves up so the next generation has it better. And it's the same way with the Cuban community, same with the Indian community, same with the Arab community, same with the Caribbean community. So that's how I would describe toxic masculinity. We're supposed to protect and provide. And if you're a man and you're not doing that, you're not a real man. You're a punk man. So that's how I would describe it. Toxic feminism. I'm gonna let you go first on this one. What's up?
Facts.
All right, next question. Toxic feminism. I'm gonna let Leo go first on this one.
Oh yeah, throw me out there, brother.
Hey, what is toxic feminism? What is it? What is it?
All right. So just to kind of give an example of toxic masculinity before I segue. You ever heard, you understand the term dirty macking?
Dirty Mackie?
Yeah.
I haven't now.
That's like that's like, you know, let's say you and your homeboy, right? You see a girl, you talk to the girl is showing interest, and then your homeboy, he's showing interest too. He waits until you leave, but instead of he's exactly right. So that's part of an example.
He's a hater.
But, all right, so no, going to toxic femininity. So I am an advocate of women, right? I used to consider myself a feminist, but when I see how feminism has evolved, or rather devolved, it seems to be less. It seems to be a lot of misandry, attack on men.
It's not about
replacing
equality,
men.
it's about taking men out.
Right. Don't need men. So that's I can't support that. And so basically, toxic femininity is destructive. It is basically saying, hey, we don't need men. You know, we are better than men.
That concept, we don't need men, is ridiculous. There's nothing in nature. There's no mammal in the animal kingdom, basically, where the women outweighs the man, for one. So women be in shape. And two, there's no female mammal in the animal kingdom, basically, where the women live completely separate from the men, and they survive and they do whatever, and they're protected and they're safe. So the concept that we're gonna replace men and completely take them out of society there's nothing natural about that. It's unnatural.
But they also blame all the evils of the world on men, as if and totally ignore all the good that we have done. I'm not saying that men have not done their foolishness, but come on. I mean,
all right.
You just
so that's how you would describe toxic feminism. All right, cool. DJ, how would you describe toxic feminism?
Belittling men, bashing men, all the single ladies, you know how you already know. I don't even have to say it.
You know what's funny about that song, man? Beyonce had an entire generation of Black women and women, period, talking about single ladies, and she went home to her husband every night, and them women are still catching bouquets.
Yes.
So
Yes.
this is like, I mean, Beyonce was a G. She made millions of dollars telling women a lie, and she's married. And she was married. She's married today. Yeah. These women aren't. It's crazy. It
is crazy because she's married with child. I don't know if she's happy or not, but that doesn't matter to me. Yeah. Everybody else is, I won't say, but a lot of women are single with child, single mother. Like, you still singing single ladies? Like, I don't know about that.
But look who she married.
At 27, it's not sexy at 42. So
yeah, but look who she married. She married the man that says 99 problems, but so interesting.
But a B is not.
Exactly. I do think though, like in general, Jay-Z did make this point. If a woman ain't treating you right, bro, there's other ones out there, man. In some respects, I do kind of see where he's coming from with that one. Brandon, you up next, bro. Toxic feminism. What does it mean to you?
It definitely means what all the other brothers have touched on. For one, I will say the other caveat to that is toxic feminism to me is social media. It's everything we see on there, from, again, the single ladies thing to you don't need a man. I literally watched a 20-minute video that a friend of mine had made that she put on TikTok about how she doesn't need a man, how she can be celibate, all these other things, because men out here.
I'm gonna come back to that.
Okay.
One. Yeah.
Okay, cool. But she's, you know, got all these millions of followers, and she's telling, yeah, you know, be celibate, do these things. Which again, if you want to be celibate, that's fine. But your reason for doing it is because in the way she said it, all niggas ain't nothing. So every single person out here, and that to me is that's toxic, because you're telling all these people who follow you, who feed into that, because that's what social media has become. Is that's where everybody gets their knowledge base from, you know, all this other crap, and they're feeding into that. And I feel like that's the biggest toxic thing causing this feminist movement right now, and it's why a lot of people gonna stay unmarried, stay in
and you know what's about that. What I always tell people is that if you don't want to get married, cool. But once again, the name of this podcast is Financipation. I talk about financial emancipation. I have an MBA in finance, so I am an engineer, but I also do business. I do financial stuff on the side. So what I always tell women is this: cool, if you don't want to get married, all right, cool. This is the thing, though. The average Black woman in this country makes less than $42,000 a year. The typical Black woman in this country, basically, unfortunately, does not make nearly enough money to retire with dignity. If you don't believe me, think of it like this. If you make $50,000 a year, right, and you retire at basically age 65 and you die at age 85, that means you're going to basically spend 20 years in retirement. Based off of financial numbers and everything, in order to basically retire with dignity, you need to make 80% basically of what you made throughout the course of your working lifetime. So if you make $50,000 a year and retire at 65, that means you basically need to make $40,000 every year you basically are retired, or you need to have $40,000 worth of money. So if you make $40,000 times 20, that's $2 million. When you factor in inflation and taxes, that means if you want to be a quote unquote strong, independent person and die alone, you basically better have $2.5 million in the bank. Because based off of the numbers, based off of inflation, based off of statistics, in order for you to retire with dignity, you had better be making 80% of what you make. Now, it gets back to my other point. Less than 5% of our women basically make over $100,000 a year. Most of our women make less than $40,000 a year. So for the social workers and the librarians and whoever basically, and no disrespect to them, but to the people out here talking about, I'm a strong, independent woman, I'm gonna die alone, basically, you had better be making the kind of money, which is well over probably $90,000, and most of our women are not making that to do that. So to me, it makes no sense pretty much to be kind of pushing this concept that, okay, I'm not gonna quote unquote prioritize marriage if I don't make well into the six figures. That's the first one. And then secondly, I'll say this: who really wants to be 65 and alone? No kids,
nobody,
and a dog. I mean, who really wants that? I mean, that's not a lifestyle that I want. Just take money completely out of the equation. So that's another way you can look at it. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of our, I hate to say this, a lot of our women, I think, are going to be homeless basically by the time they're in retirement age, because this single independent woman nonsense, basically, that has poisoned our society, has produced a bunch of baby mamas. In 1960, 80% of Black babies are basically born in a nuclear two-parent household. In 1960, 80% of our women were married. Fast forward 50 years, basically 62 years later or whatever, in 2022, less than 75% of our women are single and unmarried. 80% of our children grow up in broken two-parent households. So think about just how far the Black community has come pretty much since the end of Jim Crow and since the end of segregation. And I honestly, seriously worry where our community is going, because like I said, I do finances. Very few of our people that are single women, or single men for that matter, basically have $2.5 million basically saved up in cash. This is cash, not in stocks, not in houses, in cash, so they can retire with dignity. And if you basically are 65, have no family members, and have nobody willing to take care of you, you're going to be in trouble. So I never, that concept as far as feminism and everything, I get where it's coming from, is trying to have equality and stuff like that, but it's not about equality. In my opinion, a lot of it's about taking a man out of the house. So, but yeah.
Wow, you said a mouthful.
Don't worry, bro. I got lots of them, man. That's why I say the numbers don't work out. If you want to be single, cool. If you want to basically be tricking, you want to basically run a lot of women, if you basically want to sleep with a different dude every week, that's your prerogative. You can do what you want to do. But don't come to me when you're 45 or 50, which is what a lot of women are doing right now, and say, I don't make nearly enough money to retire. I make $40,000 a year. I'm terrified because I got $5 in the bank and I'm scared of where I'm going to be. You're going to be homeless when you're 65 or 70. So I'm serious. It's not a joke. So yeah. All right. Next up, DJ, this is you. Twerking on IG, shampoo girls, chicks putting stuff on you, making it rain, all that stuff. There's a woman's social media presence, booty shots, thong shots, all that good stuff on the yacht, booty shots on the yacht, everything. does a woman's social media image matter to you as far as a wife, and why?
Are you kidding? Are you kidding? As far as a wife?
As far as a wife?
As far as a wife, yes. Outside of that, you can do what you want to do. It's your life. It's your Instagram. You want to shake your butt for 100,000 dudes. Do what you want to do. Live your life.
So for
but for me,
smashing purposes, you're like, whatever. But for wife, nah, definitely not even a.
Yeah, if you want to tag her, cool. You can tag her. But my wife, no, she's gonna have respect for herself. She's not gonna be out here taking her butt on IG. She's not gonna be out here just flaunting her body for everybody. That's not my wife.
Got you.
She's gonna have respect for herself. She's gonna have respect for me, for our children, because anything that our kids do, anything that you do, the kids is gonna be a reflection of that. So I do believe that what you put on your social media is definitely a reflection of you.
Got you.
All
right. I got you. Cool. DJ, you're up next, bro. Does a woman's social media presence matter?
You just went. You mean Brandon?
I'm DJ.
I'm sorry, my bad. Leo, does a woman's social media presence matter? And if so, would you approach her for a wife? Tell me about, does a woman's social media presence matter to you?
Just like DJ, I will look, but I'm not gonna wife. And I thank God for social media, because it helps me eliminate a lot of women. Like, because obviously, if you see them for the most part on the street, they're somewhat more conservative. And you introduce yourself, you exchange number, you get the social media, and you say, okay, let me do some investigation. And when you see all this stuff, you don't need to go any further.
Is investigate.
Yeah,
investigate.
You don't need to go any further.
All right, got you. So a woman's social media presence definitely matters. All right, how about you, Brandon? How about you? You see a chick, she's you get a number, she's sexy, she's cool, she's attractive. You meet her at a bar, lounge, church, whatever your venue is, and you get a number, look her up, and the first thing you see is nothing but butt shots, just thong. And she got a nice, and this woman is in shape. I'm not talking about like this chick is in shape, so her body is looking very nice. But everything is booty shots, breast shots, guys pouring liquor on her. She's on yachts down the South Beach of Miami, just living it up, living her best life, quote unquote. Does that matter to you? Does that matter to you?
Real fast. So that statement that Leo just made, investigation, and DJ co-signed on that. Let's start calling it that, ladies, instead of continuing to call it Facebook and IG stalking. We're not stalking, we're investigating. So first off, good job on that, fella.
That's all it is.
Good job. No. I'm big on image. My dad has taught me since a young age, hey, when you leave the house, this is the Anderson legacy. And that goes with whoever I'm with too. So, and I mentioned I have a daughter. There's no way in the world I'm gonna have her around somebody teaching her the butt shots and the pose, looking over your back. No, absolutely not. I like Leo said, I will definitely look. I will enjoy. I'll probably even shoot it out to a couple of friends, like, hey, check this out. But outside of that, no, sir. That is not getting white. Yeah, real quick. So I can tell you that this is true. So I know I mentioned earlier I have a daughter. I was actually married to her mother. So I was married. I'm now divorced and everything, because I wouldn't be single if it wasn't. And I did investigation on her profile when we first met, exchanged numbers. And I mean, it was like heaven. And I married her. So I'm just saying it really does work. That's how it works out. So anyway, yeah.
I'll say this in regards to me. I'm in a senior management position for a $1 billion company. If my wife, for one, I wouldn't have. When I first met my wife, actually, it's funny because when I first met my wife, I was a bachelor in Miami, a very good life. And when I met my wife, one thing I found very sexy about her was she's a personal trainer and has a very, very attractive woman. But her Facebook and her social media presence was very classy. It was classy and sexy. And I was like, okay, I like this, because down in Miami, I was not used to that at all. I mean, women were like, wow, here it is. Come get it. So one thing I found very attractive.
There it is.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I found attractive about my wife was that it left a lot to the imagination. So ladies out there, your social media presence matters. Secondly, I am in a very high position. I'm the only Black person in my company, basically in my position in the senior management position. If my wife or girlfriend, basically, thanks, Brandon. If my wife or my girlfriend basically was posting booty shots and thong shots and people was pouring liquor on and stuff like that, my company execs would be like, Chris, you're in a seat. You represent our company. This shit needs to go. Seriously, they would be like, take this down. The white men that I work with, they would be like, this is unacceptable. Take it down. So ladies, you're kind of capping yourself a little bit with the kind of men and the quality of brothers that are going to approach you, basically, depending on what you're putting online. So that's kind of how I will answer that question.
Also, these images don't go away. They are forever. So your great grandkids can pull it up and like, whoa.
Kardashian's daughter will be asking her, "Mommy, is this you?" one day.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's just be honest. So you got to be kind of careful about your social media presence. And yes, to all the ladies out there, there is a double standard. I can take as many pics as I want with my shirt off. There is somewhat of a double standard. It's like guys, our body counts or whatever to some extent. But yes, I understand it is a double standard, ladies. But trust and believe, your social media presence matters. One thing I do want to go back to in regards to the women that say marriage shouldn't be a priority. I don't need to learn how to get along with a man or whatever. Relationships don't matter. The average single Black woman with a bachelor's degree in America, age 20 to 39, has a net worth of less than $7,000. The average single Black woman in America with a bachelor's degree, age 60 and over, has an average net worth of less than $9,000. And the average Black woman in America, basically with no college degree, has a net worth of $0. Now, I say that because imagine you're 65, you have $10,000 in the bank, and a guy like me, your financial advisor, is basically telling you, you need to have $2.5 million if you want to maintain the same standard of living that you basically have, and you only have $10,000 in the bank. You're going to be homeless in less than 5 months, basically. That's the serious reality to this strong, independent woman feminism nonsense, the toxic aspects of feminism, because it basically has told an entire generation of women to not prioritize marriage, to not prioritize relationships, to not prioritize how to get along with men. And as a result, our women are basically, you're starting to see the first signs of it or whatever with some of our aunts and some of our older cousins, some of our older female relatives, as far as I have nowhere to live. I didn't make enough money throughout the course of my lifetime. Whereas our grandmothers and our great aunts and the women from the past, they basically understood, okay, if I get married, basically, and I can basically build my wealth with my husband, or we can basically put our income together and save roughly 35 to 40% of our income every month, we're basically both going to retire with dignity. And more importantly, we're going to build a family and build a community. And that's the reason why I kind of, whenever I hear people say, oh, marriage is whatever, it's not all that important. I mean, yeah, to some extent, I get it, because if that's not your prerogative, it's not your prerogative, but there's a financial component that comes with it. And based off of the numbers that I'm saying, once again, 65 and over, bachelor's degree, less than $10,000 saved in the bank on average, 40 and under, basically less than $7,000 saved on average, and you need $2.5 million to retire at 65, you're gonna die at 85 or whatever, that's the average. Our community is in some serious trouble. And that's one reason why I wanted to have this conversation. Keep it moving. All right, Brandon, I'm gonna let you go first with this one. Would you date a woman with kids? Why or why not? I think you're the only one on here that has a dog. I think you're the only one on here that has any kids that we know of. So yeah.
Like that. I like that. That was tough. Yes, I would now. I think you and I have had a conversation in the past where I told you that would not have been me had you asked me this 6-7 years ago. But yes, I would date somebody with a child. But I do think there are some caveats to that too. I wouldn't be too keen on probably dating somebody who has a child that's going into like adolescence, teens, that very tough age where they're going to be kind of very combative towards me, because it's going to cause a rift between me and the person I'm conversing with. I'm just getting to know. I've seen that before. I don't plan to put myself through anything like that. And it is possibly unfair, but like you were talking about the abundance, it's like, all right, well, hey, I'll go talk to this other person. So I would definitely say I would do it. But again, it would definitely have to be a situation where I feel like I can step into the role of knowing, okay, this could potentially be my stepchild one day. How is this going to go? Is she have, problems with the child's father? All these other kind of things that go through my mind. So it's a lot to think about. But I definitely wouldn't, I guess, shoo that person away, depending on the other qualities. They have the mental qualities we talked about earlier. Do they respect me? Are they bringing something to the table? And I'm not just talking about finances, things like that.
All right, cool. Got you. Leo, you're up next, fam. Dating women with kids, why or why not? Would you do it? And if so, yes. If not, why not?
All right, so I'm going to describe an evolution. So I did, then I transitioned to I would never, and now is a possibility. And I will use the word that Mr. Anderson used, caveat. So when I did, it wasn't because of a scarcity mindset. It was because, hey, I like her and she so happened to have a child. But I was not taught what are the dynamics of that, because some women are basically looking for purely a provider, a father for the poor choices that didn't stay around. So I learned my lesson from that. So then I moved away from that to say, well, under no circumstances would I date women with children or kids, right? And so then I got to know one lady, attractive and everything, but she did have a kid. However, the father passed. And
that was different then for you.
That was different, right?
So irresponsible, just the dad is he's
right, and she was married to him, so she's a widow. Gotcha. So that would be the only, if there's a connection, you know, and she was married and the father, her husband passed away and is only one child. Yeah, I would. Got you.
All right, how about you, DJ? Would you date a chick who came with a kid, basically?
You know, that's tough for me. Initially, when I was younger, that wasn't something that I wanted to do. But, you know, throughout the course of my life, bro, I could have had like 10 jits by now, bro. Like, but the fact of the matter is I don't. So I would prefer to date one who does not have a child, because honestly speaking, it just brings up more conflict than what it needs to be. Relationships are already hard. Mm-hmm. Now get an extra dynamic into the relationship that can cause issues, can cause problems. The dad, that's one thing.
He's not feeling it then, not feeling it.
Yeah, because, yeah.
All right, so for all the ladies, so just asking the question, if you have two similar women, both same sexual marketplace value, both same level of attractiveness, both same type of body, same kind of education, same kind of money, they treat you both the same way. One comes with a kid, one does not come with a kid. Would you talk to them when they had the kid?
No kids, sir.
No kids. Brandon? Exact same woman, except one comes with a kid, one doesn't. And they treat you the exact same way.
Yeah, I would go with the no kid.
Leo?
If they're the exact same and one has a kid, that means the one with kid will be more bills. So I'll go with the one with less bills, Alex.
Less bills.
It's actually funny you say that, Leo. If you want to raise it, it's actually interesting you say that. Once again, I talk finance. It takes on average from 0 to 18. If you want your kid to go to a public school, that's pure public school. It costs on average $250,000 to raise a kid from 0 to 18, and that's pure public school. No bells, no whistles, nothing. That means on average you're gonna be spending $1,200 a month for that one kid. So if you have two kids, basically it's almost $2,300. That's over $2,300 a month. And that's basic pure no frills about it. If you want your kid to have a more upscale lifestyle, in other words, they're going to the nicer high schools, they're basically getting professional trainers to train them so they can play sports and make varsity and basically play college sports. They're going to get tutors. Basically, from 0 to 18, that's $350,000 or $1,620 a month. So for all the ladies out there, if you're dating a guy like myself who's very analytical and understands numbers, if you come with a kid, I'm automatically looking at you, okay, this is $1,200 a month coming out of my pocket to raise your son or raise your daughter. And if I didn't produce that son, that means every day I'm gonna have to be dealing with her ignorant baby daddy, or I'm gonna have to be dealing with her ignorant father-in-law who don't like me or whatever. So why would I waste my time with a woman that quote unquote has a kid? I'm not saying that that's right, but a lot of men honestly look at it that way. And yes,
kind of cold, but that's a harsh truth.
It's a very harsh truth. And I say that because I bet, like, for instance, I was on that stage with those women. These chicks were over 250 pounds with babies, not one, but babies. And they were making it sound like they were the catch. And I'm like, what world do y'all live in? I mean, seriously, what world do you honestly live in where you think that basically having another man's kid, which in my opinion is kind of the highest thing a woman can do is to give a man a child, period. That's the highest honor that our bodies can biologically do. So what world do you live in where you think that me raising another man's kid is honorable or whatever? But that's the BS that modern day feminism is trying to sell to men. And I'm telling the women out here who listen to this. World Wide Web. Yeah, that is not the way we as men listen. If it's an analytical dude like myself, I'm thinking like, you come with baggage and you come with money. Now, I will say this: if the kid's father was like killed in Iraq or shot by a cop, or you were married to, and something happened, yes, I won't lie. Men, we do kind of put that in a slightly different realm. But in general, when you come with the kid, ladies, it knocks you down. It knocks you down on the list. period. Now, if you're drop dead gorgeous, men will probably look past it. But if you're like the other 80% of the world that's not, it's a serious issue, ladies. So be very careful about that. That's what I'm saying. And realize that it is something that deters a lot of men.
Can I throw something else in there too?
Absolutely.
And a lot of times, because that was a situation I was in, where I was dating this woman, and she had a kid, and the guy, the father for her child, had several other children, and she knew this. So you know what I'm saying? So it was sort of like,
And like you were saying, Leo, it gets back to that point as well. The lady basically had kids with other men. So you basically trying to step in and support those kids. That's money out of your pocket. That's stress on your level and everything. And there's a study that I read. 57% of Black men are single, and they are single basically and in the middle class. 30% of Black men are married and have at least one kid. That means 87% of Black men in America only account for 30% of the children. 13% of the losers who aren't in the middle class, who are basically what we probably call the toxic guys, basically guys that are losers in our community, they account for over 70% of the children that are born today. Wow. So 70%. As a result, 70%. So as a result, our women out there, y'all got to start making better choices, because there are a lot of brothers out here who do make over $100,000. Over 5% of Black men make over $100,000. That basically are doing that are basically killing the game. We're doing what we should be doing, but we're looking for quality wives and we're not seeing them. So if that amount of loser men are producing kids, do you really think a guy who has options is going to kind of step up to the plate, quote unquote, and raise all your kids, all your different baby daddies? That's a tough road. That's a tough road to walk.
There seems to be a disconnect, because it seems as though men have a higher standard when it comes to who they want to have children with than women do.
I think it's because with men, the consequences, to some extent, I agree with that, Leo, but I think with men as well, when you know basically what your worth is and you kind of get away from the abundance mindset, men at 30, when we hit about 30 or whatever, and our careers are going good, we're getting compliments, we can literally holler at a woman that's 60 or a woman that's 18. I mean, we can go the entire gamut. So with us, we're just like, okay, cool. If I don't got no kids and I'm making well over 6 figures and I take care of my body, basically, and I have multiple women, their daughters and their mothers trying to holler at me, I can pick and choose and be very selective about who I basically want to be with. And I think with women, sometimes that's not necessarily the case. Once again, it gets back to the thing. We factor the men that are gay, the men that are in prison, the men that are celibate, the men that are losers with no game, and the men that are broke. There are a lot more women than there are men. And then you factor in the biological component that comes with it. We can kind of pick and choose who we want to be with. We can be more selective. So I do agree with that, Leo. I think sometimes, and then with condoms as well. So it's just kind of like with birth control as well. So I do think there is, to some extent, men, we are a lot more selective about women when we basically are high value. So Brandon, you said something earlier I want to go back to. A woman that was saying on TikTok that she didn't need a man and that men were, I guess, kind of redundant and it didn't matter. So answer this question for me, bro, all of us. What do we bring to the table as men? And what do we want, I guess, more importantly, our women to bring to the table?
I feel like men, whether they make a lot or they don't make a lot, they bring stability. Having somebody that you can connect with, who can help you grow in more ways than one, not just financially, but emotionally, physically, spiritually, everything in between. I think that's something that a good man will bring. Also, he can bring influence. He can help, elevate things that you maybe are trying to do. You can bounce somebody ideas off of. DJ's an entrepreneur. I'm sure what would be important for him, we have a woman who's, listening to the ideas he has and encouraging him, pushing him, trying to help connect, those type of things. So I think those are some of the things that we bring to the table, as well as
stability.
Emotional, stability.
All right. Yeah. DJ, how about yourself, bro? What does what do we bring to the table, and what do you want our woman to bring to the table?
I believe that we're leaders of the community. I believe that we are protectors. You mentioned something that kind of stuck with me too.
Well, definitely gender roles, and you definitely believe in the gender role thing.
Yeah. We'll get to that, I'm sure. You mentioned that if we were in our homes and there was a robber or a burglar at the door, she's gonna expect me to get up to go to that door, right? I don't expect her to go up there. No, I'm the the protector.
Even if you got a gun in the house, you're the one that's supposed to you're basically the one that's supposed to load the magazine, slide the chamber, and then basically go find out what the issue is.
All of that. And what are women bringing to the table? Table, you said.
What do you want your woman to bring to the table?
First off, peace, yo. Peace. I want her to bring peace. I want her to come whole. I want her to be supportive and know how to cook, dog. Like,
absolutely.
It's so much chicks here that just can't.
And as a side note to all the fellas out there, bro, if you want to get girls, learn how to cook. Believe me, it works every time. Come on, DJ.
But yeah, that's pretty. I don't really require a lot from my a woman for my stuff, but
all right.
It's simple.
That sounds pretty all right, straightforward. Leo, same thing with you, bro. Quickly, what do we bring to the table, and more importantly, what do we want our women to bring to the table?
Well, going by what DJ was saying by way of you about basically being protectors, men, hopefully we are the first and the last line of defense. So we don't want, whether it be an intruder or whether it be a violator, hopefully we're in such physical shape and skill that our woman don't have to become violent, all right? So men are sacrificial. All right, so we, not just in the nature of something extreme dealing with life and death, but even when times are hard, let's say it's snowing outside and our car is covered up. So we're supposed to be able to provide comfort. We're supposed to be able to basically make sure that any obstacles or pathway that's in the way that may hinder progress or success, that's get cleared up.
We provide comfort, and we provide comfort, and we basically speed up the efficiency of what's going on around us.
Right, security.
And so, the women, then, what do you expect from the women? I guess what do you want in the women? What do you expect them to bring to the table? I guess
to be nurturing. To be helpful. Men are supposed to be helpful, but also women are supposed to be helpful. They're also supposed to be useful, to basically help me to become better, as same as her, to help her to come better, to be better as well.
So you're saying that women, we make each other better, men and women.
Correct.
Got you. Great answers, everybody. I've been thoroughly enjoying this conversation so far. Brandon, you're the only man on here with a daughter, so I will ask this question to anybody that has kids. If you have a daughter, what advice would you give her about finding a husband and about marriage? Finding a husband first. Let's start with that one.
I would definitely tell her to choose wisely. Make sure he has the qualities that are important to you, and I will be bestowing upon her what I feel are good qualities that she should be looking for. She can listen to it, she cannot listen to it, but I think it's my job as a father, as a Black father more than anything, to bestow upon her that marriage is a good thing for one, to not feel like, yes, I want you to be empowered and do things and be accomplished, but also realize it's okay to have somebody that helps you along the way. It's okay to have a husband who is your helpmate, who may be more successful or you help bring to that stage. So I think my example to her and what I would try to tell her about just dating and marriage in general and finding a husband is find somebody who's going to elevate you. Find somebody who's going to be, they're going to be a spiritual guide for you. They're going to be someone who helps keep you healthy and help you live a long, successful life, and also take care of me and not put me in the nursing home. So
would you tell her to prioritize marriage and basically go to college with the idea of finding her husband in college, or would you tell her to get a career and then basically get married after 30? Would you tell her to get married between 20 to 25 and find her husband in college? Would you tell her to get married after 30? Because right now we're telling our women to get married after 30 and it's not working for them.
That's true. That's a good point. I would
tell our men the same thing too, Dom.
Say that again?
We do tell our men the same thing.
Yeah, but with guys, we don't really age out of dating. I mean, we can be 90 and knock a chick up who's 20. And you see 60-year-old men with 20-year-old girls all the time, with 30-year-old women all the time. So with dudes, I think with men, it's a little different with us because we can date kind of the entire spectrum if you make a lot of money and you take care of your body. But women, they kind of have their physical peak from 19 to 28.
But I agree. But my only pushback towards that is if you meet the right woman when you're 25. You know what I'm saying?
Usually we mess it up and then we wait 10 years to find another one at 35. That's usually what we do.
Okay.
Let's be real. Women, it's easier for a 35-year-old guy to get with a 22-year-old girl than a 35-year-old woman to find a 22-year-old Boaz. Let's just keep it a buck. So that's how I'll answer that. But Brandon, how about yourself though, bro? Would you prioritize and tell your little girl, I have a son on the way, but if I have a daughter, I'm kind of figuring out how I want to raise her Would you tell her to prioritize marriage and get married at 20 to 25 and try to find her husband in college and say, baby, get your PhD and get married after, and focus on marriage after 27 or 28?
I think that really goes down because I'm big on being a supportive parent and helping her make decisions, but also allowing her to have her own mindset. So I think the caveat in my mind with that, I would maybe encourage that. But at the same time, if, like you said, I know she wants to be a doctor. I know it's going to take a certain amount of years. I think I would encourage her for sure. Like, hey, that guy that you were telling me about in your class, how's he been doing? That kind of thing, and trying to push it a little bit. Because again, I do think it's harder after the age group. I think you said 28, after 28 or 30. Those are the women that we always see calling Kevin Samuels and all these other people for advice. So I feel like for me as a father to her, I would definitely tell her to seriously date during that time. I think all of us probably seriously dated a little bit around that time, if we weren't all being hoes and things of that nature. So I do think that's the time to try to do it, and maybe fingers crossed you'll meet that person. But I think at the same time, it's tough to ask a parent that, because it's like you want them to follow their dreams too, but I also want her to be, married and have those things that's something I'm going to tell her. I'm not going to just be like, oh no, do everything yourself. No.
It's an interesting concept because I went to North Carolina A&T for grad school, and I went to Drexel University for grad school. When we were in undergrad or whatever, Brandon, you'll probably agree with this one. The Indian women that were on campus, the Muslim women that were on campus, the white women that were on campus, the Hispanic, the Latinas that were on campus, junior, senior year, they were kind of figuring out who their husband were. They were getting proposed to. The black chicks that was on campus, I had a lot of dudes who was doing the same stupid stuff, but freshman and sophomore year, everybody pretty much for the most part was kind of partying up and living it up. But junior, senior year, the other races of women, I noticed a lot of them was getting married. Whereas our sisters, a lot of them, junior, senior, they were breaking up with the dudes. They were breaking up with everybody because they were like, okay, I'm about to go out in the world, make my money, have my fun. And what's also interesting is that I noticed a lot of the black women that I started my career with, it was hot girl summer. It was partying up every summer. It was just basically going to a different country, partying up. But the white girls, the Latinas I work with, for the most part, they all got married during the summertime. So I think as a black community, we're kind of shooting ourselves in the foot to some extent. I think we should definitely get our education, but a community that doesn't get married, it has no community, it has no future. And it's extremely hard for a kid who grows up in a single parent household to be able to have the same resources as a kid that grows up with both parents in the household. So I sometimes kind of wonder if I have a little girl, am I going to tell her, should you look for your husband in your junior and senior year like other communities do, or should you prioritize your career? And right now we're telling our women to prioritize their careers, and it's a disaster right now because how many of us, you can go to any bar any bar club in America right now, it's full of 40-year-old women begging 20 and 30-year-old men to take them home. You can go to any church in America right now, it's full of essentially 40-year-old and 50-year-old women begging men to marry them. It's full of 40-year-old women competing with 20-year-old women for a 30-year-old high-value man. And this is in the black community. And I'm kind of seriously wondered, did we make a mistake doing that basically?
Well, I think it's also the mindset, because you basically just said that guys their age below 30 are not ready. So unless you're also proposing that these women, college age women, date older men, because the men within their age group, you said, who are under 30 should not necessarily settle down until they get their stuff together, which will be up 30 and above.
So is there anything wrong with a 22-year-old, 21, 22-year-old college senior dating a 30-year-old man who's ready to get married?
There's nothing wrong with that. I don't see anything wrong with that. But, you also, so I think that we need a re-education, because I do believe there are guys under 30 who are responsible, who who are ready to settle down for marriage. I don't think that's just should be a general given that because they're under 30, they're young, dumb, and full of what.
Right. Brandon, you got your hand raised?
Oh yeah, actually it raised it, but I saw DJ hand go up before me too. I know he raised his hand.
I actually wanted to give you kudos for the answer of how you're gonna raise your daughter. I think that's like spectacular, bro. I had a rebuttal for Chris though. So you said that you wanted like if you were to have a daughter, you would want her to choose or look for a mate between 25 and 30. Like, is she
between 20 to 25?
20 to 25? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So do you want her going out to look for someone to get married to, or do you want someone to find her?
Not necessarily. If I have a daughter, I'm gonna tell her to prioritize marriage. I'm gonna tell her basically that if the right person comes across, don't let a person tell you that you're too young to get married if you're 24 or 25. And the reason why I say that is because I see too many of our Black women basically that are out here very attractive. They take care of their bodies, they fit, feminine, friendly, sociable, all that stuff, cooperative, everything, but they can't find a man or they can't find a good guy. And the reason why is because the Beckys, the Sumings, the Supings, the Marisols, they don't mind marrying the brothers that got their ish together. So to me, if my daughter says, Dad, when should I get married? I'm gonna tell her to get married when you're ready. But I'm also gonna tell her that there's nothing wrong with prioritizing marriage. And I think in our community, we're not doing that. And I think that if you take a look at the statistics of whatever's going on in the Black community right now, not prioritizing marriage is the reason why most of our women today are looking at a situation of possibly being homeless when they're 65. So if I have a daughter, DJ, it's gonna be a tough thing. I'm gonna tell her basically get married, baby, when you're ready, when the right person approaches you. But I'm also gonna tell her after 30, it's kind of a challenge. So basically be very intentional about the type of people you date. If you want a person that basically if you want to get married, date people that are intentionally trying to get married. That's what I'm gonna tell her.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So you support early marriage in women, but not so much in men.
I support getting married when you're ready. I had to get married at 35 for a reason. So I support getting married when you're ready, if I'm gonna keep it completely honest.
Yeah.
But what I'm ultimately asking you, I know I'm kind of putting you on the hot spot, but would you give the same messaging with your son and your daughter, or are there two different messaging?
Honestly, I would tell my son, I would tell both of them to get married when you're ready. But I think men, we kind of make a switch in our lives at about 27, 28. We just kind of mature and kind of grow up a little bit. So if I were telling my son, I probably would tell him, get married when you're ready, but you're probably gonna start looking at women in the world a lot differently at 30. Whereas my daughter, I would probably tell her, a 30-year-old woman, that's kind of, you're competing with 20-year-old women for 30-year-old men. And it's a lot different. A woman's at her physical prime between 20 to 20, basically between 18 to 27. So that's kind of the prime time. That's kind of the prime years basically to, I would say, find a husband and get married. That's what I would tell her. On top of that, college campuses are arguably some of the best places that you're going to find potential spouses. So instead of just dicking around and just having fun and hot girl summer and partying up and slutting it up or whatever, it's also men for women. Some of the best wives you're ever going to meet in your life, if you decide to go to college, are for that 4-year period. If you don't decide to go to college, I would tell all men basically and all women in general to get involved with some kind of church, to get involved with some kind of community center, things like that. Why? Because generally speaking, people that are looking for marriage, they hang out more at churches and at community events and things like that. Whereas guys are just looking to smash, we typically hang out at bars and clubs. That's kind of where they go. So I would tell her, if basically depending on what you're looking for, look what kind of outcomes do you want? Who are you trying to date? Who are you trying to find? And find people that want that same outcome.
Facts.
Yep. So we're getting kind of close to the end, but I want to ask this question. There's two questions I would like to ask. What can we do to change this narrative that Black men ain't shit? Because the only women I see really saying this, unfortunately, are our women. But what can we do to change that toxic narrative? And then I got some numbers after we answer this question. Leo, you're first.
Okay.
Ninjas ain't shit. You heard it before. We all have.
Yeah. Here's the thing. There is, well, number one, women need to be independent thinkers. All right, because I know women who come from good homes, father, all the men in their family are stellar men, and they have that pre-angry men ain't shit. And we know we're talking about Black men. And so what it is, it's somewhat of a fad. It's somewhat of the anthem, just like, women run the world, or, I am woman here, so this mentality towards men, particularly Black men, is more to me of a social, a social fad that's going on, and a lot of women adopt it, and they're not weighing the damages, nor are they weighing how truthful it is, or they're wearing the relevance of it. And it's actually destroying relationships and the community. One of the reasons why, from what I understand from my research, other races look at Black women the way they do is because they have an angry mindset. If they treat their own men like this, how are they going to treat us? So therefore, other races are not going to be like, okay, I'm going to rush to marry this person.
There's a statistic I'm going to use with that one, but keep going, Leo, and then we're going to go to DJ next.
No, I don't want to monopolize the time because I know the gentleman has.
DJ, you've heard the saying, ninjas ain't shit. Basically, we're useless. Do you see the disrespect that typically only gets shown to us? Other races don't catch it nearly the same way that we do from their women or from ours. But what can we do as Black men to change this ridiculous, toxic narrative?
I think more so what the women can do to change this narrative.
No, let's focus on us first. What can we do? And then we're gonna focus.
I'm sorry?
on you. What can Black men do to basically change women's idea that this whole concept of ninjas ain't shit?
I guess I want to say maybe treat our women with more respect. But you're only gonna treat a woman with as much respect as she deems or allows, if that makes any sense. Because I believe if women set the standard, men would follow.
Gotcha. What can women do to change that narrative, DJ? And Brandon, you're up next. What can women do to change that, DJ? About Black men we ain't shit, basically.
Just set the standard, because men gonna follow. Like, if you telling me the man got to come with this, and this just to even talk to you, then he gonna come with that. But if there's Boquita down the street that's gonna be like, okay, just buy me some McDonald's and we can get it popping. All right, let's go to McDonald's, baby. I mean, it is what it is.
Got you. All right, Brandon, what can we do as men to change the narrative among us as men? Like I said, I got some stats, some numbers up to this.
Got you. Yeah, I think honestly, Leo probably said the thing that I think closest to with kind of like the re-education, because I know for myself, I think that can change. We can change that narrative, and we can be better men and not be looked at as so negatively if the influences that we have or that we're given are sending us in the right direction. I can't tell you how many times I have conversations with my older cousins when I was growing up, like, yeah, man, you done got some yet? Oh, you need to be doing this many chicks and that. And that became my mindset, like, oh, okay, I need to be having a lot of sex. I need to be doing this, instead of being like, yeah, man, you need to go out here and make this money, meet your wife in college and marry her, and y'all have bunch of kids and repeat the cycle like that. I was never told that. It was always, how many hoes you got now? Or you ain't got no hoes, or you need to become a cute so you can get hoes like me. Like, that's what I was taught. So I feel like once we start changing some of that narrative, once we start giving better advice, like when my younger cousins and all those people ask me, I straight up tell them, like, yeah, I look at it this way, or I think you should do this. And it's not that advice of let's just get as much as we can, have as many babies as we can, and then start raising our kids too. I think on the women's side, I think what DJ's answer was really good. Garner that respect that you deserve. If you're that high value, and I know we hate using that term, but if you're that high value woman, set the tone. Don't let them in your pants the first night. They can work for all these things. Show them that you want a husband. You don't want a baby daddy. Like, those are the type of things, because we follow the lead too. We're the leaders, and we are supposed to be leaders and things of that nature. But we also, a woman can dictate a lot of that, I think, too, by saying, hey, no, I'm not looking for any of that. And that's one of the things I'm definitely going to teach my daughter is,
Can I jump in?
Yeah, go quickly. Yep, go.
I think men need to also push back. I mean, decent men, because a lot of time we're silent when women. For me personally, if that's her attitude, I'm gone. I'm not even wasting another second of sharing oxygen with that person, because you're already tell me how you see me without even knowing me. However, now, as Brandon says, he was getting schooled, as all of us men have been schooled, as to how to get more women. Gotcha. Right?
So Leo, you would say as men, we need the good men, we need to be more vocal about basically what's going on.
Right. Okay, good.
Right,
so we need proper teaching, but as well, Brandon also mentioned that these women allow these type of men. So if we, as men, we are result oriented. So if we're seeing, man, this dude, he ain't got no principles, but he getting all these women and church girls, party girls, what have you, then I need to learn, because we're seeing the results. So then these women are enabling them, not that we should follow, but you know, as they say, nice guys finish last.
Oh, I mean, it gets back to my the abundance mindset I've said throughout the whole thing. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, like I said, if you get educated to take care of your body and you basically make money, you're gonna have women, period. And if a woman disrespects you, you can literally replace her and get another one. That sounds like a pretty cold thing, but numbers are the numbers. I mean, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. There's a lot more women than there are men. So I guess that's kind of one way I look at it. But another thing too, I will say is this once again, I'm an engineer, statistics, numbers. What the numbers say? The numbers say that 57% of all Black men in America are in the middle class. So there are a lot more of Black men basically that are doing well than that are poor. That's not what the media shows. On top of that, if you take a look at Black women, according to Forbes magazine, GQ magazine, dating apps like Tinder, eHarmony, Match.com, our women are ranked the absolute last on the planet as far as what any other race of man wants to be with. So you put a white guy, you put an Arab man, a Latino dude, and basically an Indian man in the room, say, okay, who do you want to have sex with, who do you want to marry? Black women, unfortunately, are dead last. I found that shocking when I read the statistic.
Yeah, me too.
Conversely, if you put a white woman in the room, a Hispanic woman, an Asian woman in the room, and a Arab woman in the room, and say, okay, who do you want to have sex with, who do you want to marry? Black men are the second most desirable men on the planet. And this is according to Cosmopolitan, GQ, Tinder, eHarmony, Cupid, Match.com, and a couple other things. So somehow our women are supposedly the least desired women on the planet, but Black men, we are the second most desired men on the planet behind white men. So I found that shocking. I found that very interesting when I saw that. And on top of that, some of the most liked and swiped people on the planet in 2017, 2018 were actually Black men. So this concept that, for lack of a better word, Black men ain't shit, the only people that say that, unfortunately, are Black women, because Latin women, Arab women, Asian women, Hispanic women, they love brothers. Yeah. If you don't believe me, date outside your race. I think as a race of people, we need to basically sit back and kind of say, okay, where is this stuff coming from? Who's pushing this? Because the numbers do not basically quote to the fact that almost 6% of Black men basically are in the middle class, and roughly 5 to 10% of us are making over $100,000. We very clearly are doing very well. So where does this stuff come from? I think it's just another thing that basically says that it's another thing the media pushes to kind of try to keep us apart. And just to piggyback off of what Leo said, yeah, according to some of these same studies, one reason why other races of men don't particularly find Black women attractive is they say they're not in shape, they're not feminine, they're too loud, they're not raised properly, and they're too obese. As a Black man, I take offense to that because my mother is Black, my grandmother was Black, my aunt. None of those women fit that description. They're not loud, they're extremely feminine. None of them are obese, and they all basically were taught how to be wise. So I think sometimes, like Leo said, we need to be basically louder about the type of things that basically our community is being told. Next question. And this is one that kind of hit me pretty hard. In 1960, during Jim Crow, the height of racism in America for Black folks, basically post-slavery, 80% of all of our children grew up in a strong two-parent dual nuclear household, and roughly 75% of our Black women were married. Today, 80% of Black boys and girls grow up in a world of single parenthood, basically broken families. And on top of that, 75% of our women basically are not married. So how in the world do we go basically from 80% of us being married, 80% of our kids growing up in dual parent households to today, 62 years later, basically where 80% of our kids are living in homes with single parent mothers, and 75% of our women are not married. So to all of us on this panel, what do those numbers mean to the Black community moving forward? And as men, how do we change that in our own individual space? Brandon, you're up first.
I think what it means to our community is that our community is going downhill faster than we can fix it. I think that's exactly the direct result. And I mean, we're seeing that now. You rarely see, there's a reason why so many women, like Leo was talking about earlier, and we were all talking about when you ask the question, would you date somebody with a kid? There's a good chance when you meet somebody, they're going to have a child, and they're not going to have the father in life, or the father is in life. They don't live together. So I think somewhere down the line, I don't know if it was the introduction of crack cocaine, all these other things that started destroying the community, and people just started having kids here and there and all those kind of things. But there's definitely a difference. And I think the way that we fix it moving forward is, again, going back to that education, making sure that we are in our children's lives, even if you can't be in the same household. I share that I'm divorced. I am in my daughter's life as much as possible. I have her every week. I'm not one of these weekend dads or every other week or once a month. None of that BS. Like, you have to be present. You have to educate. And we do have to, like you talked about, Chris, bring back the narrative that you should have a family, you should get married. Because again, it's so much now with all these other distractions, like we talked about, social media, friends in the ear saying, let's not do this. We're gonna go on a girls trip, forget the men, F the men. Like you got movies coming out, girls trip, like all this stuff where it's like, forget the men. But you know, I don't know. I think the only way that we can honestly change it is with a whole lot of prayer and teach and a lot of re-education that, hey, this is the way that we should do it. And I mean, you go back to the very beginning of the Bible, it's talking about marriage. We have a book that has been written all these thousands and thousands of years ago, and you still have people thinking, oh, I don't need a man, or I don't need a woman. And it goes both ways. It's not just women, it's us too. Yeah.
Numbers don't work. DJ, how do we change that? 80% of our women were married and 80% of our kids grew up in a nuclear family in 1960. Today, 2022, 2020, 75% of our women are unmarried, 80% of our kids grow up in broken homes that are typically raised by women. How do we change that? Because that to me is, that's genocide.
That's crazy. I think Brandon hit it on the head. We definitely need to educate not only the next generation, but ourselves, and everybody that we come in contact with, and be present, set the standard ourselves, because if we can set the standard, then we can change the next generation, and the following generation can change the next generation. And that's how I think that we can see some real change.
Do you think we should prioritize marriage again?
Oh no, for sure. These are facts. That's a necessity. And this conversation has really like brought that into light. Like we need to continue to date, not just for dating purposes, but with a purpose.
Yeah, agreed. Leo, how about you, bro? Those statistics I read, they scared the heck out of me when I saw it, to be real with you. Well, how do we change that narrative? How do we get it back to, I don't want to say take it back to the 1960s, because we're all Black. That's not, some stuff went on that back then I do not want to see unless I'm packing. So how do we take it to the point where 80% of our community, what does it mean for 80% of our community basically is divorced and basically comes from broken single parent homes, and how can we as Black men individually change it, I guess?
Okay, so I'm gonna hang my hat there. How as Black men we can change it. All right, so to set the foundation, we just said a lot of women think that ninjas ain't ish. So in other words, they're better than us and they're not listening to us, right? So now, if we don't have a voice, because that's the attitude of our women, not saying every woman, we're not saying every woman, but a significant amount, we actually are indirectly changing and making changes by not our words, but our actions. Men are men of action. We move. So when they're noticing that men are not only dating outside of our races, but even men who are diehard Black women like myself, are like, we're importing our wives. We're going to Africa. We're going to the Caribbean. So it's not like saying, hey, you women who have issue with us, we can go elsewhere with our gifts and our talents, like LeBron, right?
Right, and bring them back and marry them.
Exactly. So they're taking note when we have a neutral, unbiased statistic comes out from Bumble, from dating apps, saying that, hey, the Black men are the second favorable choices for all women. And then the Black women, not because of their looks, but because of their attitude towards us, towards themselves, towards our community, their mindset. So then I think this is definitely resonating. And then we have Kevin Samuels that's coming out. I don't always agree with everything he says. A lot of things that he said is actually very factual, very true. I may disagree with his tone, but because of what the climate is right now, he exists. If this climate didn't happen, he wouldn't exist.
I think you said a lot of points, Leo, that I agree with. One thing you said is that we got to get back to marrying. We got to get back to marriage again. And I'm not one of these. I don't deal with toxic women. When I was a bachelor, I didn't, and I married a guy, sent me a beautiful woman who's not toxic at all. And I'm not telling guys to go here and marry the first woman that you can because we got to push marriage. But I do think to some extent, as fellas, we got to get past the body counts, get past partying, and say, okay, I need to be a responsible man at some point and find my queen. And if the women around you aren't your queen, like Leo said, I mean, travel. I was blown away the first couple of times I started traveling to other countries and just kind of what I started seeing. And I would advise every man that, yes, date with intention. Marriage is basically the building block of a community. Brandon, before I go to my outro, Brandon, your hand is raised.
Yeah, I just was going to say that one thing that I was thinking about when DJ started talking about community and things. One of the things that really did pop in was I think that's something we also need to get back to too. Not just the same community, but being a community. You know, back in the day, even when we were growing up, if you knew people in the neighborhood or where you grew up, everybody could whoop your tail if you got in trouble for something. You had the old head down the street instead of telling you how to pimp women. You know, you need to get married and do these things. Kind of, and I think we need to get back to that mindset because we got so much of this stuff. Like they always bring up Chicago, how people killing each other and all this other stuff. But what about the times that going back to that community mindset of, you know, elevating each other? And I think that's something that's been lost too. Like, you know, I know so many people who I can have a conversation about, oh yeah, I talked with Chris the other day. You remember him from Manatee? Oh yeah, what's he doing? And I can say all these good things about you. And in the back of my mind, I know they're in their mind, like, oh, that nigga wasn't nothing back then. Like, instead of saying, that's great, I'm happy to hear that. No, I'm being real, Chris. I had a conversation and I brought you up and it literally kind of went that way. And I'm like, why would you think that way instead of saying, this brother is doing good, let me check in with him, maybe he can help elevate me. And we've lost that. Like my grandparents told me stories about that and how, you know, they helped each other. And I think that's the big difference from the 60s to now. Yeah. We were all about elevating each other instead of tearing each other down for whatever reason. So that's all. It just popped in my mind. Got you.
I would just say this too, in closing, I guess. First of all, it's been a great discussion, fellas. There's 2 questions I want to answer that somebody just sent me, but this has been a great discussion, fellas. As Black men, as heterosexual, strong, athletic, tall, educated Black men, we need to do this more often because the BS that the world says is of Black men is that we're weak, we're gay, we're soft, our women have to lead us and women have to protect us, and we don't make any money. That's the nonsense the media tells us. But in actuality, there is no facts to that. Like I said, almost 60% of Black men, 57% of Black men are in the middle class or whatever. 30% of us are married, and roughly 5% of us make over 6 figures. So based off the US population or whatever, Black men are doing a lot better than society makes it out to be. But they don't want to focus. They want to focus on the 13% of Black men that are basically not doing well, basically, and that are destroying our community. But one thing I'll say as an African American, I've always found it interesting. I grew up around a lot of Caribbean people, a lot of immigrants. Asians, Cubans, Dominicans, Mexicans, they can come into this country on a raft or across the border illegally, legally, however you want to look at it. And within 1 or 2 generations, they're basically buying houses, they're basically moving and starting businesses and where the parts of the city that Black people used to live in. And how is it they can do that? How is it they can come here literally with $5 in their pocket? Same thing with Trinidad and Tobagans, same thing with Africans, same thing with Indians. They can come within 1 generation, they're basically buying houses and starting businesses in our community. It's for one reason. Those communities, from what I've noticed, they still push family. I mean, you'll see 5 or 6, you'll see 3 or 4 generations of Asians and 3 or 4 generations of Hispanic people living basically inside of a house. And then 3 years later, they basically buy another house. And 5 years later, they buy another house and they keep flipping it. Those communities still push family, but somehow after 1965, we stopped pushing family. And I don't even want to put it on necessarily, I mean, mass incarceration, the war on drugs, that kind of stuff has something to do with it. But in general, our women have kind of moved away from us. And as a result, we kind of, as men, we're not, in my opinion, we got to step up to the plate and kind of bring them back. And if the woman doesn't want to come back, cool, go find another one who actually does. As men, we got to start making sure that we push family, we push the community. So, Leo, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, bro. But I think other communities push family, whereas we unfortunately do not. And the last thing I want to answer is 2 questions that somebody sent me. Question number 1, why do men lead women on and then ghost us, whether we have sex with them or not? Okay, very easy answer. It's because he found a girl, I'm sorry, that he was more interested in. That's kind of probably what happened with that. I'll just keep it completely. You gave it up, he had sex with you, you didn't give it up, he didn't have sex with you, he found another woman that he was more interested in, he moved on. That's how we are as men. Once again, ladies, it is what it is. There are roughly 10 of you for every one of us. And guys, a lot of times we go for the quote unquote options that we think are best. So
Chris, I'm Christopher Samuels, boy, that boy.
Oh, man,
Savage.
am I right?
Savage, isn't it? I love it.
I will say this though. I will say this. Men, we make bad choices a lot of times with women. So it kind of comes back to bite us. The thing that does kind of come back to save us though is that because of biology, we can produce babies at older ages. We basically can date up or down 20 or 30 years, depending on our education, how much money we make, our body types. So we kind of get to live more than one life when it comes to the dating world. Women, unfortunately, they kind of don't. That's one reason why I said if I have a daughter, I'm gonna kind of tell her to prioritize marriage from 21 to 28 if I were to keep it 100. Next question. I work out, I cook, I clean, I am beautiful, I'm drop dead gorgeous. Men always approaching, but I keep meeting the wrong man. What am I doing wrong? All right, that's a lot of stuff with that one. First thing I'll say is this: be patient. Dudes, we're not that smart. We, till a certain age, we go after the prettiest one. That's just kind of how we are. And sometimes we go after the prettiest one with the least amount of, that's gonna give us the least amount of effort. So it's not necessarily something that possibly that you're doing wrong. There's a very good chance that you just haven't found your quote unquote Boaz yet. The guy that God has for you, or the man that basically is supposed to spend the rest of his life with you, he just hasn't walked into your life. Men, like I said, we're not that smart. It takes us a while to figure out. We normally do around 30. Another thing I'll ask is this: were you raised in a two-parent home? Was your father in the household? Because if you were raised in a two-parent home, you saw a healthy woman husband dynamic. You saw a healthy man-woman dynamic, and that's another issue with 80% of our kids growing up in broken families because they don't know what a healthy mother-father relationship do. But white women, Hispanic women, Asian women do. So did you grow up in a two-parent household? Did you see a healthy dynamic between your mother and your father? Our young lady is that if you are college educated, you're taking care of your body, you're fit, you're feminine, you're cooperative, you're supportive and everything. And basically only date men that are, and you're looking to get married, only date men that are looking to get married. Because if you're wasting your time 2 or 3 years, the way we are as men, if a woman does not push that, we're not going to push it on her, generally speaking. So if you just want Netflix and chill, men were cool with that. If you want to say, okay, what are we doing? Are you going to marry me or not? Because if not, I'm moving on. That kind of lights a fire underneath us. So that's what I'll tell this young lady. And lastly, I'll say get involved with the church. Even if you're not religious, get involved with the church. Why? Because for one, you're going to be around people that are actually prioritizing marriage. And what I find, most men that are actually kind of looking to someone get married, they tend to spend a little bit more time around religious circles. Whereas guys are just trying to smash, they spend a lot more time around bars and clubs. I'm not saying that people in church don't want to have sex. I'm not saying that guys in bars and clubs are necessarily all bad. And what I'm saying is that prioritize people who didn't typically prioritize marriage. They typically, from what I find, they tend to spend a lot more time doing spiritual things, and they also typically spend a lot more time doing things as far as in the community service, and getting involved with younger kids. So I guess that's kind of how I would answer those questions. So yeah, be patient, be fit, be feminine, be friendly, and be supportive. This was a really good conversation, guys. I think we shot down a lot of stupid stereotypes as far as what we're looking for. I think every man on here, Leo, he just left, but every man on here will agree. We want our women essentially to be fit. We want them to be feminine. We want them to be pretty. We want them to be cooperative. We want them to be supportive. We want them to we want them to cook. We want them to clean. We want them basically to have our corner, to have our back, and to be in our corner. And that's a beautiful thing. And lastly, to everyone on this page, like I said, who said that they want to basically never get married or not prioritize marriage. Once again, ladies, if you do that, or men, if you do that, just keep this in mind. You need to make 80% of what you currently make for at least 20 years. Why? Because the average American, by the time all of us retire, we're all millennials, is going to die at 85. If you retire, they force you to retire at 65. You got 20 years basically that you have to go pretty much on your own in retirement. If you're doing that, you need to basically make 80% of what you make. So if you are in the top 75% of Black women, you make over $50,000. That means you need to make $40,000 every year, basically you're retired. $40,000 times 20 years is $2 million. When you factor in inflation and everything, that's $2.5 million. So if you ain't making if you don't have $2.5 million worth of cash in the bank, that means you basically had better start taking serious looks at the relationship that you have and at the men or the women that you have. Because if you want to basically die single and alone, basically with dignity, you would better prioritize how much money you make, because you better have almost $3 million in the bank to retire. So that's what I'll say with that. Before we go, Brandon, Brandon, DJ, do you guys have anything you want to say?
I appreciate the conversation. I like hearing the different perspectives because we're all in different places in life. I know Chris is a newlywed, new baby on the way. Brand, just got out of a marriage, as a daughter, very much enlightening, just hearing the different perspectives. But I'm definitely going to be one to really promote marriage now and being present and educating the next generation. So
definitely. Brandon, Aggie Pride, Scott B. Ho, you up next? What you got in closing, man?
All day. No, I would just to kind of piggyback off what DJ said. I definitely appreciate the conversation, and you know, I'm all about action instead of just words. So I think I'm going to take a lot from this conversation and some of the things that I even said about how we can change the community and the outward appearance of Black men, and even just, you know, again, I've already kind of had some of those conversations with, you know, younger generations that I meet. They come to my house or seeing things about, oh, I want to be like you. And I try to lay out, you know, what it took to get there and how to go on that path. But I never really touched on, like, yeah, find your wife and all that too. So I think that's something I'm going to definitely add in there as well to the conversation. And appreciate you having this forum as well to kind of output that out there for people to ask questions, to learn some things, because I do think it's a big misunderstanding about what we really want. And I think they think we want all these different things, and we've helped kind of lay out, at least from the perspective of 4 different men, what we really want out of a woman. And I think that's going to help change a lot of lives, to be perfectly honest, like straight talk. I think that's going to change a lot of people's perceptions of men, Black men, and what we really want to.
Definitely. Ladies, take care of your body, be fit. Ladies, take care of your body, be feminine. Ladies, take care of your body, be supportive. Ladies, be supportive, be cooperative, be friendly. It hasn't changed in 10,000 years. I mean, simple as that. God made Adam to be his help. When God made Adam after the fall, basically, Eve was his helpmate. She basically helped him. God didn't make her another friggin' Garden of Eden and say, you go live there, he lives here. That wasn't the way it works. So, ladies, we're not that hard, seriously, as men. And ladies, I'll also say this: prioritize marriage. This strong, independent woman, feminist crap has destroyed the Black community. And it's not working. It's not working for white women either, but 54% of them get married. But prioritize marriage, ladies. Be very careful about spending a lot of your sexual time, a lot of your sexual energy with men who don't want marriage. And brothers, there are a lot of good women out here. We got to look, and they may not necessarily be in your city. They may not necessarily be in your state. But the good thing about women, I find, is that if a man knows what he's doing, if a man knows what he's doing, knows how to lead, women do not mind following us. It's as simple as that. They literally are hardwired that way. So with that, I love you guys. It has been a pleasure with this conversation. As men, we got to do this more often too. And it's been a pleasure, fellas. So take care, and everybody look forward to part 2, because I'm gonna interview some women too. Okay.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
For sure. All right, guys, take it easy. And to those ladies, I was referencing earlier in regards to that stage we was at in Chicago, good luck. I honestly do feel a little bad for you all, because the advice somebody gave you did not work, and as a result, you're in the situations you are today. To all the younger girls out there, don't listen to what these people are telling you, okay? Talk to your grandmothers, talk to the older women who are happily married, get your dating advice from them. So, yep. All right, everybody, take it easy. Have a good one. All right, take it easy. Peace.
A good one. All right.